last night we saw again one of the great Premier League performances from Liverpool, and indeed their talisman and their best player, Mohamed Salah. He 2 goals. He broke another Thierry Henry record last night by having 21 goal contributions at the 14 game point of the season. Henry's record was 20 at this stage. So no one's ever got this many goals or assists ever in the history of the Premier League, 14 games into it. He's currently more efficient than Thierry Henry. He scores or assists in 89% of his Liverpool games. Thierry Henry, 88% of his Arsenal games he scored and assisted in. He's on track to match him with goals, to match him on assists or goal contributions in general. He's got a Prem in the Champions League. I need to ask this question today. How far away is Mo Salah from the GOAT conversation? And does he have a chance to surpass Thierry Henry as the Premier League GOAT if he continues to perform, deliver, score, and win at this rate? I want your thoughts and your feelings on it. I want to know what you think and feel, because for me, I think the conversation's got to happen. I think he's got a way to go to catch Thierry Henry. That there is no shadow of a doubt. 3 to 4 more years at this level, bare minimum. But he surely has to be knocking on that door, Lies, in terms of the GOAT conversation now.
I mean, I think you've just made a pretty compelling case, but I think the key words there are 3 to 4 years, because I know people will probably look at the trophy side of things. Thierry Henry, surprisingly, in fact, only won 2 Premier Leagues, right? I mean, I say only, but for a player that is universally known as the best player in the Premier League or regarded as such, that's not like an insane amount of league titles. You have players who've won 4 or 5. But I think with Henry, the difference is it's like he's not quantified by his trophies. He's quantified by his brilliance. What we saw, the numbers he was able to put up consistently being the best Premier League player every single season he was in the league. But the point is, and we have to be honest with ourselves, what we have seen from Mohamed Salah this year, and in fact, the last 3-4 years, ever since he joined Liverpool in 2017, is a player who is at that consistent level. I think a few years here and there, Van Dijk was kind of the best player in the league. De Bruyne had an amazing year 2 years in a row, but Salah has consistently been there while those two have faltered up and down. Pretenders have tried to claim the throne. He's always been there. I choose not to compare him to Henry yet, because I think you're correct in saying he is 3 to 4 years away from him. I look at Cristiano Ronaldo, Terry. I don't know if this is what you really want to touch on at this moment, but I think he's not too far away from him. And I said earlier in the season, the way recency bias works, the way you're only as good as your last game or your last season at a club. And I think people will really start to look at this current iteration of Cristiano Ronaldo, who, let's be honest right now, isn't as good as Mohamed Salah, and look at what Salah is doing week in, week out. And I think by the end of this season, if not next, he will be regarded as an all-time greater Premier League player. Not all-time better player, period, but I think he may well surpass Ronaldo this season or next.
Yeah, look, the recency bias thing, I think is clear. You know, he's Mo Salah's pomp years, late 20s, where most players are at their best, are in the Premier League. Ronaldo's, best years were at Real Madrid. So it's when you're talking Premier League pomp, I think that's a really fair point. You know, at sort of between 18 and 22, 23, that stage of Ronaldo's career compared to Mo Salah's, they're incomparable. Yeah. Mo Salah just wasn't at Ronaldo's level at that point, and he isn't as an overall player. But I have to be honest, Mo Salah is going in terms of Premier League and what you do for Premier League clubs, he's moving into that top echelon of players, where the Henrys, where the Shearers, where the Wayne Rooney's, Alan Shearer, Henry, Wayne Rooney, Eric Cantona, I forgot the guy's name. The John Terrys, these types of players, they sit the very best of the best. Rio Ferdinands, Paul Scholes, Giggs, these guys. He's moving into that category. It then just becomes about what else does he? And my question to people that don't think he's near it or don't think he'll get there is, but what else? There has to be something a player can do to surpass the GOAT. Like that for me is what makes being the GOAT so amazing, is that you've achieved something or you've done something in a way that's like the greatest ever, but there has to be a way to surpass it. Like, how far do you think Mo Salah is? Do you think he's in one of the greatest players ever in the Premier League categories already? Do you think he's got some way to go, Adam?
I think he's definitely in the conversation. If we think of it as a table, Mo Salah would definitely be at the table. for sure. It's just about who's sitting at the head of that table. Currently, Thierry Henry, and like you lot said, there's been a lot of pretenders, a lot of people that have come for that throne, a lot of people that tried to jostle Henry off that thing. He said, nope, I'm still here. However, I think what has made Henry the GOAT for such a long time is that he captured the imagination of football fans.
Correct.
So it's not just the numbers that he's putting up. It's not just the fact that he's got all these stats that back up his brilliance. It's the way he did it. He's got moments behind him. You can all think about the moment where he played against Manchester United, flicked the ball up, hit it over Fabian Barthez' head. You think about the match against Tottenham where he ran the length of the pitch, fantastic goal. You think about another back heel, I think it was against the team playing in yellow, it might have been Leeds, I can't remember, hat tricks on hat tricks, all of those different types of moments, that's what Henry delivered. And that's why for me, previously I would have said Salah was never the GOAT. He's got the numbers, but he doesn't have the flair or the sauce to go with it. This season, he shut me up. The goal that he scored against Manchester City, beautiful. Goes and betters it the next week against Watford. And then he's scoring these finishes now that I'm like, right, I didn't actually know Salah had that in his locker.
For me, it's not even just the goals, right? Because I think Salah has always been an exceptional goal scorer. His first season in the Premier League, he broke the record. But I always kind of thought of him, and maybe this is just me being a hater, right? My Algerian side, I don't like the Egyptian, but I always thought of him, he's just a poacher, man. He's just a great goal scorer. This year, Mohamed Salah has added a side to his game that I never thought he had. He is a creative force. He's a guy who's holding off players for fun, back heels. Like, he's a complete forward at this point. And I think undoubtedly he's the best player in the league. He's probably the best player in the world at this current moment. Yeah. And I think the key now is consistency, but Adam, this guy has been consistent all his career at Liverpool. Yeah. Like, there's no sign of him slowing down.
Do you know what I would say? What you said there about Henry and the capturing of the imaginations, I think that's massive in this. And a massive part of being the GOAT is legacy. It's how you make people feel. It's how you influence the game. You know, I remember people wearing gloves in the summer saying they were Henry. Like, because it looked like him. Eric Cantona with a collar. How many kids put their collar up as an example? Yeah. I think there's almost a gimmicky element to it that's needed.
Or kids growing afros.
Hairy chest, I don't know, like doing something, but like something along those lines. But I think Liverpool fans are going to play a big part. One with, you already mentioned recency bias, Lias. But also Liverpool fans are potent online. They are one of the strongest fan bases out there. They've got a huge presence in the punditry and journalistic scene. I think with recency bias being a real thing, you know, people remembering what Mo Salah has done more than Thierry Henry, with almost the element of having a new GOAT will also be or potentially a new GOAT, I think will be very appealing to the Premier League.
Oh, easy,
it's marketable. The conversations that they're wanting to keep performing like this so they can have the conversations. It creates debate, exactly what we're doing now as an example. But Liverpool fans are going to be key to this. If Liverpool fans want their favorite players to be recognized, and I think the reason why he's slightly behind the curve in terms of the legacy conversation, it's only really been this year where I've seen Liverpool fans give universal support to him and say he is out and away far in front of everybody else. There was talk of him being too selfish in the past. A lot of Liverpool fans backed Van Dijk being better than him, but Mane being the better attacker as an example. You know, there's always 3 or 4 players that were put ahead of him as the stars of their team. He is now being spoken about as the star. For me, he's always been this good. That goal he scored against City, there's, I think, about 4 or 5 other examples in the Prem of him doing it, but they weren't pushed down the lenses. They weren't pushed down your phones. It wasn't this season. It's become the Mo Salah show. And if that continues for 3 or 4 more years, that recency bias thing you mentioned will come into play. And Liverpool fans are very potent and strong. There's only one thing that will stop him from being in that conversation for being the GOAT. I think he'll go into the category of one of the greatest ever attackers. There's one thing Liverpool fans will have to admit for him to be, because you can't be the GOAT of the Prem and not the GOAT at Liverpool in the Prem era. So they're going to have to admit, and I think, honest to God, this is no cap, no salt. The day a couple of prominent Liverpool fans, and I think it's years away from happening, say he's our greatest ever Prem player, period. That's the day where a lot of heads start turning and a lot of conversations start. I think Liverpool Football Club as the fan base hold the absolute key to this. And I just look at Mo Salah as being that good. And I'm a Man United fan sitting there saying, people think I've got an agenda. Do you really think, like, Terry, you just want him to be seen as better than Gerrard?
No, but
it's like you ain't thinking it through. If you think I'm being biased, why would I want a Liverpool like Gerrard being classed as Liverpool's GOAT is
They're
fine.
saying it, in fact.
Are they already saying in the comments?
You already hate Stevie so
no,
much.
but think about but again,
What are you
that you're playing 1D chess. Your head's gone. You're not playing a game right. Imagine you think my agenda works. Terry is just trying to get Steven Gerrard to be knocked down a peg. He won't be knocked down a peg. He'll still be looked at as one of the greatest ever midfielders. Gerrard is not regarded by anybody as the greatest ever Premier League player.
because he isn't.
Why would a Man United fan push an agenda to potentially get a Liverpool player crowned as the greatest ever player of the Prem? Why? It's nonsensical.
Yeah.
I'm being unbiased. I actually get very offended in some regards and upset in others when people go, you've just got an agenda against Liverpool. And I'm like, but I'm promoting one of your players as being amazing. I can't understand where the annoyance comes in, but that's the point. It just doesn't work.
I don't really get how any Liverpool fan could say that Salah or Gerrard is more of a legend.
Well,
than
you know
Salah.
what it is, right? I think it's because he is Liverpool Football Club, right? Like we know he is. He's a scouser. He would come from the academy. He played there his whole career. He won them the champion. Like he has that aura about him. He will always be Mr. Liverpool. But if we're being objective here and we're looking at facts and goals and games, like Salah, man, is if he's not already there, he's approaching that kind of godlike status at Liverpool Football Club. Yeah,
they need to give that man a statue. Like he's put them back on the map.
I think here's the thing, though. We're talking statues. You need to win more trophies, and I think really that's the thing.
That's the thing for me. Legitimately, for me, the one thing more so than the moments that would stop me from saying he's beyond Henry, he has to add more. Henry's got 3 FA Cups and 2 Premier Leagues. If Salah starts adding and being a pivotal role, a top goal scorer,
which he would,
driving force, if he adds another Prem and another Champions League to that, trophy haul. I mean, I haven't even looked at his personal awards because I don't think they're that important because this week's proven it to us. Half the football world has said the Ballon d'Or's rigged. So if half of you think it's rigged, then we can't be taking it seriously.
It's more so about goal scoring awards. Like for example, he only won the Golden Boot one time since he's been here, and like his numbers have been good. But Vardy outscored him one year. Kane outscored him last season. Henry, three Golden Boots in a row.
I get
assist
that.
leader.
I do get that. But if he never wins another Golden Boot, but in the same amount of games outscores and out assists Henry, that's what would you rather?
If he does that,
but he's tracking to.
Yeah, no,
exactly. I do hear you. I think winning Golden Boots and the amount of goals he scores when you're an attacker, like I know people don't like stats, but when your job is to create and score. It's a bit like
it's stress, bro.
Oh
my God,
it's true, right?
Let me ask you guys a question, though.
Go ahead.
With the significance of the league that Liverpool won, do you really think that they need the multiple trophies?
Yes.
The reason I ask
for what?
In order for Mo Salah to be considered the GOAT of all GOATs. Maybe another Premier League, I can give you that. But we always talk about how mentality is an underrated part of the game. The pressure that was on that Liverpool side to deliver, and the fact that they were being hunted down by Manchester City, Man City, and other teams at the time, I feel like that alone should allow him again another seat at the table.
I can't lie. If he had won it the year before, maybe, but the year they won the Premier League, they were relatively unchallenged. They were. They won. I won't go that far, but like it's obviously every league title counts.
I do hear your point, and I think he does need more trophies. He does. There's no doubt. A few people saying actually Salah's got 2 Golden Boots.
17, 18, I think is the only one yet. No, he shares one.
So and Aubameyang. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Aubameyang got it. But viewers, what do you think? And listen, this isn't a conversation to disrespect anybody. I don't think he's there yet. As the GOAT, or even in the debate for the GOAT conversation, he needs more time, more goals, more assists, more trophies.
Correct.
That's my opinion. But I'm very excited about him being on the way there. Some people may already think he's in that kind of category. Where do you rate him? Where do you rank him in relations to that? Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, and share. If you want to see the rest of this video or more content from the Football Terrace, please click on the link, check out our YouTube channel, and make sure you're subscribing. We look forward to seeing more of you. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.